Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the channel. Today we are going to be starting off a bit of a mini series on how do builds work in the game, how do they come together, and how you can build a build. Or if you're copying a build from someone and something's just not quite working out, this should give you enough information that you can do a deep dive and see where you went wrong or where you're losing a bit of stats, so on and so forth. Now, without anything else, let's just get into it. So if you see me looking to the side, I have a bunch of notes that I've typed up. But yeah, let's get into it. So the first part that I want to look at and just make people attentive on is your shade level and your watch. Now, the watch you get after you finished the Worlds of New York, then you get your shade watch, and you can go up infinite levels. Currently, before Project Resolve, I'm pretty sure it actually does give you a boon. If you look inside, you'll see you get a health boost. However, after Project Resolve, level 2000 is going to be maxed. But for our case, and looking at what we're looking at, we're interested in these 4 cubes on the side. Now, they max out at level 1000, then you'll have all of them. Before level 1000, some of them might not be fully upgraded. As you can see, it's 50 points per for all of them, and if you don't have 50 points, yeah, it's going to be halfway upgraded or not fully upgraded. Now, these are pretty important if you're on a build that has been fine-tuned to the point. For instance, I have a sniper build that hits for 15 million damage to a body shot, headshot type deal, on legendary, scaled in a group of 4 people, and it's very specifically tuned because that allows me to one-shot yellow enemies. That's just an example. So if a build is finely tuned, you may need this. If it's not, it might not matter that much, but you can go through and check them out. It's stuff like weapon damage, giving you 10% additional weapon damage, 20% headshot damage, 10% crit chance, and 20% crit damage. And same goes for defensive, giving you total health, total armor, hazard protection, explosive resistance, so on and so forth. Just be aware that this is a thing and that it is of some importance when building a build. The first part of your build consists out of your specialization. Now, for specializations, when you start playing the game, you will have access to 3. You should have access to the Demolitionist, the Survivalist, and the Sharpshooter. Your Technician, Gunner, and Firewall is going to be locked behind challenges. If you see to the bottom right, I can hit G on my keyboard, and it takes you to the challenges. Just run through these challenges, and finishing all 5 of them for each respective tree will give you access to the specialization tab. So all of this, which normally is not that important unless you want the skill consisting in your specialization, excuse me, or the weapon mod. But for the most part, specializations are usually left up to choice. Then the second important part of builds is your weapons. Excuse me, ma'am. Is your weapons. Now, let's get out of here so that that doesn't happen again. Okay, so the next part is weapons. Now, weapons consist out of 3 different types. So you have your exotic weapons, which are more, they're very unique weapons in terms of what, not necessarily in terms of their core attributes of their attributes, but their talents are usually their talents are always, you can only find it on your respective exotic. So the chameleon has its talent, the eagle bearer has its respective talent, and so on and so forth through all the exotic weapons. Then the second type of weapon you get is going to be your normal yellow, which is your high end. So it usually consists of a a relatively random set of talents. Now, LMG damage and damage to targets out of cover, for instance, it's not always going to be the same, but it has its own thing. So LMG damage will come with LMGs, rifle damage will come with rifles, as well as crit hit damage usually comes with your semi-auto, your rifle class. Sorry, not your sniper rifle, but your rifle class. Then we get to named weapons. Now, named weapons and named gear is going to consist out of usually a specific talent or a specific stat that is max rolled. So as you can see, the White Death has 137 headshot damage. You'll only ever be able to get 137 headshot damage on the White Death and the O'Carroll. Those are the two exclusive ones with this core attribute. Other weapons may have talents. So for instance, the Darkness comes with perfect eyeless, and it is also one of the only weapons that has the perfect eyeless. Some weapons may overlap, so you may have an SMG and an LMG with their perfect respective talents, but the perfect version of a talent can only ever be on its respective named item. Then we head down to gear. Now, gear consists out of exotics, high-end gear sets, and named items. Exotics, very much like your exotic weapons, is usually just something with a talent, with a specific talent. Now, where exotics comes in nicely with the whole talent thing is normally talents are exclusive to backpacks and chest pieces. However, if you have a pair of exotic gloves, for instance, it also has a talent. So you can keep that in mind if you're building a build for what exotic you want to do. Another thing that I should mention, you can only equip one exotic weapon and one exotic gear piece at a time. After your exotics, will come to high end. Now, high end is any yellow that does not have a name connected to it. All gear sets, or all high end gear sets or brand sets, should I say, have 3 perks that you can get, depending on how many you have equipped. So if you have 1 Providence equipped, you get the headshot. 2 Providence equipped, you get crit chance, and 3 you get crit damage. Each gear piece has, or each yellow gear piece has something along the line. Fenris gives you assault, reload, and so on and so forth throughout whichever you may want. Then, very much like the weapons, you have your named variants, which can either come with a perfect talent or a perfect role. For instance, the Chain Killer comes with the perfect Headhunter talent, which obviously can't be rerolled, as I said, but we'll get to that in the next video. And then you have the Contractor's Gloves, which comes with armor damage, as it does not have a talent. So that's the gear set you use. But what gear set do you want to use, or how do you determine that? Now, that's usually determined by your playstyle and whether you want to go with a red, blue, or yellow build. So red, blue, and yellow is damage, armor, and skill, respectively, depending on your choice, whether you want to be a bit more, you want to have a bit more survival, or you want to do a bit more damage, or you're running skills. That'll get into when we're actually building. Just know that is a 3. And the reason I am specifying that you have these 3 is when you're farming gear. Now, farming gear, there's many different ways to farm gear. One of the ways, the first way that I want to talk about is the general loot pool. Now, the general loot pool is all the gear in the game that can drop in a area, aside from the Dark Zone exclusives, can drop in any mission at any time. It does not matter where or when you are. However, this type of RNG thing is usually just a nice surprise. If you're farming for gear or you want something specific, you are relegated to pretty much 3 choices. And 4 if you include the shops. So there is a website. You can just say div shop and you'll come to Ruben's website. He does a reset every week, showing what gear, what mods, and what weapons are for sale. I recommend it 100% if you're looking for something specific. Maybe you're lucky enough to find what you're looking for. If it's not there, there are 3 farming methods that people use depending on what you enjoy. The first is if you open your map and you hit R, you can see you have targeted loot. Now, this resets, I'm pretty sure, every 24 hours. And as you can see, there are all the insignias for each set is scattered across the map. Now, if you see the dark gray sets, for instance, on this area in the middle, there is okay, it's not showing up. Yeah, there it is. So in the middle, you have this kind of transparent gray of 511. That just means in playing in this area, killing enemies in this yellow area, you have a chance to drop 511. Furthermore, you'll see there is the bright white on each mission. That means the Lincoln Memorial is a marksman rifle allocated loot, and Tidal Basin is electric. And the dark zones have what you call it, Umbra Initiative and Aces. Yeah, Aces and Eights over here. That is your first option. Although loot is, it gets somewhat repetitive having to run it over and over and over again, but that's kind of what we have to do. The kind of second and third thing that you get is you have your choice between either running Countdown or Summit. Now, if you're hovering over one of them, either one of them works. You'll see that holding R, in my case, will get me, or holding H selects targeted loot. Now, that just means you can specifically choose what you want. So, backpacks and weapons are usually a bit more, it's unpredictable. It's better to, or for your gear set, it's better to select your respective gear set than select backpacks, because if you select backpacks, it can now drop you anything from Aces and Eights backpacks all the way down to Cavalier and anything in between. Whereas if you select 511, it will only drop 511 gear, so you have a 1 in 6 chance essentially for every drop to be the piece of gear that you're looking for. So that's your choice between Countdown or Summit. It all depends on which you enjoy more. I spend most of my time in Summit. As a rule in the community, Countdown is the better one for farming because you get more drops. There's more high-level enemies and hunters in Countdown, so keep that in mind if you're in a rush to get something. Maybe or maybe not. When you're farming for gear, when you've found your gear piece or your gear set that you want to farm, one thing to keep in mind, you have your core attribute, which we talked about, that is your red, blue, or yellow, and you then have attributes. Attributes, these two attributes can be anything. We'll look at all the attributes later, but they can be anything. However, red core attributes usually have a higher chance of dropping with a red attribute or 2 red attributes. And so blue also has a higher chance to drop with blue attributes, and yellow has a higher chance to drop with yellows. Although you can have really any attribute in the game rolled on this, aside from obviously the perfect versions from the named items. Then we have mods. Pretty much same thing for farming. If it's usually a bit difficult to find on the open world map because what you call it, the Warlords of New York also has its own respective loot pool that's separate from DC's. So if you don't see what you want, you can always go to New York and just see if it's there. However, for mods and for weapon or for gear mods and skill mods, just Summit or Countdown, you can select the respective which one you're looking for over here. Okay, so general loot pool, targeted loot, Summit, Countdown. That is that's your gear. Now we're getting into skills. Now, as you play through the game, you'll get points and you'll come to this point over here, your quartermaster, and unlock skills. However, not all skills are unlocked. There are 4 skills locked behind legacy manhunts or older manhunts. In order to see them, you can just go to seasons and open your reward track for your manhunts. Now, if I'm not mistaken, it starts out at around 40. Yeah, Jupiter. So at reaching level 48 will give you access to Jupiter, and reaching level 55 will give you access to Feilau, Schaefer, and Hornet. Jupiter gives you the EMP sticky, Hornet gives you the repair trap, Schaefer gives you the shrapnel trap, and a mask, one of the hunter masks, and then Feilau gives you the Achilles heel pulse. So if you don't have them unlocked, you just need to reach level 55 and you'll have them unlocked permanently. Now, how you find them is simply opening up your map, going over to the Manhunt tab, and then pressing F for Legacy Manhunts. Now, depending on which one you want to do, they're in order. So you have Jupiter, Hornet, Schaefer, and Feilau. You can just hit space and then hold to accept. Holding to accept will... I'll show you what it does. Holding to accept, you'll fast travel to it. It'll give you a cinematic, which I'm going to skip. If you feel like watching it, you can. This may take a bit of time to load.
Their leader is Molly Henderson, call sign Jupiter. Her current whereabouts are unknown. We know she had direct contact with Keener and was planning something big.
It may take some time to load, mainly because it does everything for you. So, as you can see, Rosamond Island, Manhunt, Jupiter, you can just run up here and change the difficulty of the mission or matchmake for it. And then you can just run in. And the mission should automatically start. If it does not automatically start, which it didn't, you can just go to mission options and hit space, hit replay on, say, normal. And there you go. Since it's yellow, it will now activate when you run in. There you go. The final thing to address is a lot, and I do mean a lot, of the exotics are behind different things that you need to do. You have your 3 raid exotics, which we have the Eagle Bearer, we have the Ravenous, and we have the Regulus. They're exclusive to raids. Eagle Bearer and Ravenous is RNG to drop in raids. The Regulus, you need to do Iron Horse twice. The first time will give you the thing, then you'll have to do a project. Oh wait, you need to do it 3 times, I think. 2 or 3 times. I'm sorry, I haven't done it in a while. But you need to build that. Then you have your Dodge City, your Dodge City, Liberty, and Nemesis are all built things. I would advise Googling them if you want it. The Ouroboros is locked behind your Incursion. It has a chance to drop its Incursion. It's pretty much a mini raid. That's all there is. And then, oh yeah, the Chatterbox is another one you build. Then you have the Capacitor and the Bighorn, which the Capacitor drops in Summit for reaching floor 100, and the Bighorn has a chance to drop in each legendary, or in the legendary missions. That was almost unfortunate. Final thing to address is some DZ exclusives. Now, some of the named items that you need to get, or named weapons, so the Dark Winter, the Dark Winter, the Swap Chain, I think, and the Apartment. There's some of the, I think the White Death might also be. I'm speaking under correction, I'm not sure. But they're Dark Zone exclusives. Now, Dark Zone exclusives can be, it says exclusive, but it can be gotten in 3 ways. The first is named item caches. Now, as we have an event going currently, we have Guardians going. You can do Guardians going. You can do events and get red stars, and then back at the base of operations, you can buy named item caches. You can run the Dark Zone and hope for an RNG drop. Usually, if you want the weapon, a specific weapon type, you can wait for it to be like for the White Death, for instance. You can wait for sniper rifles to be targeted loot in the Dark Zone and then run that. That's the second way. The third way is with the shop resets, each Dark Zone has its own shop. So you have 3 different shops that reset each week, and they always have a named item for sale, a Dark Zone exclusive. So just keep an eye on that, and you can purchase that with Dark Zone credits, which you get from scrapping down contaminated gear in the Dark Zone and just purchasing it that way. But yeah, that's all there is to it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit like, hit subscribe, and keep an eye out for the next one, which will be the recalibration station and rolling your attributes. I'll catch you guys in the next one.